Welcome to the mainstream, where we talk and we laugh about life, love, and everything that we have. Tune in, sit back, and relax your mind. We're here to entertain, it's podcast time. We got stories to share and advice to give on how to be the best man that you can live. So come join the conversation, be a part of the team. Welcome to the mainstream, it's where you want to be.
I'm not a name I would expect anyone to know.
Hello and welcome to the Mainstream Podcast. Tonight we have a special guest, but I'll start with introducing Josh. Everybody knows Josh and I, Magic Mike. Our special guest here tonight, we have Julian Vandervelde. Hawkeye football player, Eagles, NFL professional football player.
Yeah.
Very cool to have him on. Very, very nice of him to spend time with us on a Saturday night. Yeah. So what do you think, Josh?
Yeah, no, it's great. I met Julian in person. I've known of him. I've been a Iowa Hawkeye season ticket holder for a while, and just so happens I was down at Grow Clinton last year, probably around September, October, somewhere around there. And here's this guy sitting to my left, and I was like, I think I know this dude. I think I know this guy. Like he has a pretty good stature. I'm like, there's no way he didn't play fucking college football. Right?
Yeah.
And so I started looking at him a little bit more and I was like, oh, the beard's not there anymore. That's what I'm missing. And I'm like, we all get older and, we lose our hair and stuff like that. And I saw the glasses. I was like, it's fucking Julian Vandervelde. And so I stopped and like made sure afterwards I introduced myself and started talking about high school football and started talking about podcasts and stuff like that and invited him on. And, now here we are. So welcome to the show, Julian. We appreciate you coming on here, man.
It is my pleasure to be here. I certainly, it's not, the beard's still a little bit there, I will say, and I am sorry for anybody who could see me. I don't mean to look like a Bond villain who's going through like a reveal right now. I've got some lighting stuff going on in my house, but
you're good.
It is awesome to be here. I really appreciate you guys having me on and putting up with my decor here, my Eagles sweatshirt.
I love it. It's a great fucking dig at Josh. Put him right back down in his place, humble him out a little bit after the last couple of years.
Yeah, we had a great run. We really did. I think Ryan always gave me shit about him. And, when the Eagles won, actually, what happened in the Super Bowl? You can't even say the Eagles won. They fucking dominated.
Yeah, they stomped you guys.
And they kicked our ass. And I remember afterwards watching a clip from the Eagles sideline where they went over to Saquon. Hurts went over to Saquon, and he goes, "Man, they're taking us out." He goes, "We're killing them. Why do we need to go back in?"
It's like we're up by 40,
he's
man.
like, we're up by 40 points. What are we doing?
That's hilarious.
So, yeah, you know what? As a Chiefs fan, it was sad to see. But you know what? For an Iowa boy, watching Cooper DeJean grow up in high school, I went and watched every state final that kid was in. And you could tell when he won 2 state championships at 2 different classes as a QB and the number 1 safety out there, you knew he was going places.
Yeah.
You really, truly did. And what he did in college was like, again, next level. And what he's doing now in the NFL is next level. So I think being an Eagles fan right now is probably the best in the world, especially if you're an Iowa Hawkeyes fan too.
For sure.
What are your
It's
thoughts?
exciting.
What are your thoughts on Cooper?
I'll tell you what, Coop is different, man.
Yeah.
Like there's guys who you see and you go, man, this guy is good.
Yeah.
I think when Tyler Linderbaum had like his first start, I remember being with like a group of people being like, that guy is going to win a Remington before he leaves Iowa. Like there's, that level of different sort of athleticism where it's like, this guy's going to come out of college. First of all, he's going to be an incredible college player. He's going to go out of college. He's going to make an immediate impact on the NFL scene and at that level. And I mean, it's not entirely his fault, I'm sure, or because of him. But the Eagles were 2-2 to start the season. Everybody wanted Sirianni's head.
Yeah.
That was before Coop was fully healthy and in the lineup, and then bye week and everything, and they put him in there at the slot, and it was just like all the pieces fall into place, and you've got the number 1 defense in the NFL, one of the best defenses, in NFL history,
Absolutely.
statistically out there.
They
So I'm not going to say that's all his fault, but
no,
he was clearly an important piece of the
Yeah,
puzzle.
absolutely.
it's certainly. I don't obviously like Josh touched on it a little bit earlier. It's like I'm not a huge follower of. I follow the Hawkeyes pretty religiously, but I don't really follow much NFL. But it's very interesting how obviously it was a major adjustment in their roster, but it's amazing how they always say everything's got to be cohesive in football and everything's got to be just right, but just putting him in and getting him healthy changed the dynamic of like you said, the whole defense. Is crazy to think about that.
Well, and I think everybody in the NFL, the league, it's so much fun watching the league kind of shift and adjust over time. You had the era of the New York Giants and the NASCAR package, where it was
Yep.
like, okay, you had the smaller, longer, faster defensive line because everybody had gone to these smaller, quicker offensive lines. As the zone became more prevalent and everything, and then the Dallas Cowboys bringing an offensive line that's all like 320 plus pounds, and they start running the ball, and they have some success, but they're the Cowboys, so they can't do anything with it. And then you get
Hope my brother's listening.
I'm never going to miss a chance to dig the Cowboys, and
Yeah.
that goes back to the first football game I ever watched before I even knew what football was. So
Yeah.
that's long been ingrained in me. Um, but like now, you kind of saw this evolution of football, and it became a completely quarterback centric
Yeah.
league.
Mhm.
And people started to say, it's like it was like 2 years ago that running backs, everyone basically said you could plug anybody in at running back. It didn't
Right.
matter.
Yeah.
And the market went
And
way
it was,
down.
the market went massively down. Nobody cared about running backs, but it was all, if you had a quarterback who could escape pressure, and you had a wide receiver who could stretch the field, and then like a slot guy like a Wes Welker or somebody like that
Yeah.
who could get in there and line up against like linebackers and nickelbacks and have that sort of an advantage, you could dominate. And so the shift in terms of like defensive backfields and how teams have changed the way that they play, from the 4-3s to 3 downs, with outside linebackers could drop out to the 4-2-5, like the prevalence of these different sorts of defenses and the type of player that you need to have in those positions. Like Coop's in a perfect point in his career where he
Oh,
can come in and be that lockdown slot guy who
Yeah.
can take on quicker, faster guys. He can play on the edge. He can play inside. He's not afraid to come up and make big tackles. And if you have two really good corners in modern professional football, and you can lock guys down on the outside, you've still got to deal with that tight end, or you
Yeah.
still got to deal with that slot guy.
mhm.
It's like Coop is that third piece of the puzzle that Philly slotted in there and went, okay, now we have the defense that counters the modern offense, the modern,
Yeah.
the Super Bowl winning, the thing that the Chiefs have made their living off of. And it'll be interesting to see in the future. Like Andy Reid's not dumb,
Right.
right?
No.
The
Yeah,
whole
probably
league is
figure it
made
out,
up
right?
of football geniuses. Yeah,
Yep.
who's going to adjust next? What's the next kind of phase that we're going to get into, especially now that running backs and bigger, more physical offensive lines are starting to make that comeback? Does that sort of
Right.
4-2-5, 5 DBs on the field shell, does that start to become a hindrance more than a help if teams start stacking the box again and start playing heavier? Do we see us go back to a 4-3 style with big, Brian Urlacher middle linebackers? Who knows?
Yeah.
But I love kind of the way that the league continues to evolve. It just happens that right now Philly's in a perfect spot with what we have.
Yeah. I wonder if it's kind of like everything else that we see, fashion, trends, everything's really
It always
cyclical.
comes full
You know what I
circle.
mean?
Yeah.
And I think that we're kind of getting to a point in, high school sports for sure. We ran that pro style offense here in Bellevue for a number of years, well ahead of most other high schools in Class A and 1A. And now everybody's catching up.
Right.
Now we haven't, like our head coach, Julian, hasn't changed our offensive scheme for 10 years. And,
Yep.
Now it's transitioning. But like my high school from where I grew up, ACGC, it's way Western Iowa. They've got a guy that played football at Madrid for Randy Hinkle, big powerhouse running offense. Always had, two 2,000-yard rushers as a tandem back. And, he went to Northwest Missouri State, won some D2 or D3 national championships or D2 national championships, sorry. And he was a running back, so he brought into a scheme of a spinner back, almost like a wishbone offense. And he stuck to that, and it's done well. Like, they've revitalized their program because of it. But I was talking to my nephew. He's going to be a senior this year, and he's going to be the kid's crazy. Like, I'm trying to get Iowa to look at him. He's a 6'2", 245-pound kid right now, but he's made first team All-State offense for 3 years. And you don't make first team offense as a sophomore, freshman. And what he does is great. Like, he has allowed no pressures, no hurries, no sacks from his end. He's not a great defensive guy, so he'd be an O-line, but he's just on the smaller side. And I said, you know what? You find a program that can work with you and your foot speed. He's also a wrestler, which, O-line coaches love wrestling, especially Iowa. And if you can get in there and show him, he's been to state 3 years in wrestling now, never won, but like, that's what Iowa looks for, is that all-around athlete, especially on their offensive line. How many O-linemen did you play with that were former tight ends, former QBs, Julian?
Yeah, the numbers are insane. In terms of, first of all, let me just preface this for anybody who is listening and has children. Please let your kids play multiple sports.
Absolutely.
Like,
Thank you so much for saying that.
Let's get that out of the way. My kid is 6 years old and he's going to play travel ball the rest of his life, and he's going to be the next Mike Trout. No, he's not.
Yeah,
all right.
good
They've
luck.
done so much research on this, from the Olympics, professional sports, whatever.
Yeah.
You can't tell who's going to be good at what when they're kids. The best thing you can do is let them do a bunch of different things. Do all the sports, do all the activities, stretch their wings, find out what they like, explore their own creativity, explore their own, build their athleticism in a more broad and general sense, and then they'll figure out as they go along what they really want to do and what they're going to be good at. That's my opinion.
I love that you said that. Sorry for cutting in, but I love that you said that, because I coach track and field, and I've been doing it for about 12 years, and that's like the number one thing we say to kids that are like on the fence of going out because of they want to focus on their main sport. It's like, for us, it's like, dude, what are you talking about? In every single sport, no matter what sport you're playing, speed kills. So if we can train you to be faster and be more physical, maybe not physical, because you're not that physical in track, obviously, but like, if we can train you to be faster and work your muscles to be more agile, it's only going to benefit you. Like, so we always say that. Sorry, go ahead what you were saying.
No, you're good, because I'm right there with you. Well, I'll circle back to what we were originally talking about. I just, I coach high school football now, and that mentality was built into me as I grew up, because I played every sport and did, choir and band and high school musicals and all this different stuff. So I was always about like, try everything. But on the sports side of it specifically, like, I coach high school football now. We tell all of our guys to go out for track. Right. I tell my linemen, you're either wrestling or you're playing basketball. Right. Don't sit around in the off season. I don't care if you spend the whole off season in the weight room. Like, that's all well and good. I'd rather have you be an athlete. I'd rather have you on the basketball. Pass protection's just playing the post in basketball. Only in football, you get to use your hands and actually, shock somebody out of the way. Like, it's the same thing. Wrestling, you can't get a better analogous relationship between two things in all of sports, I think, than line play and wrestling. Like, and that was the thing when I was in high school. Iowa was recruiting when they first started recruiting me. Right, I went to the summer camp for 3 years, and after my first year, Coach Morgan, the offensive line coach at the time, talked to me and my mom. He said, "Listen, we really like, Julian and what he's doing, what we think he could be. Just understand, the one thing that I remember about that conversation is he didn't tell me I had to wrestle. He just said, here at Iowa, we really like wrestlers. We really like guys who wrestle." And I had wrestled my freshman year, hated it, didn't go out my sophomore year. And after he said that, I was like, well, guess I'm wrestling then.
Guess I'm
and
going
that
back
was
out.
going back out. So I went and wrestled the next year and made it to state. And that was like the thing was I've been fortunate enough. Coach Morgan was my college offensive line coach, one of the best offensive line coaches there's ever been.
Agreed.
And he loved guys who wrestled. And Iowa has a long and storied history of converting tight ends to offensive linemen. When I went to the NFL, my first offensive line coach was Howard Mudd, Hall of Fame offensive line coach Howard Mudd. And his thing was he loved guys who had played basketball. He wanted offensive tackles in the NFL who had played basketball in high school because of the footwork and the fundamentals and
Yeah.
the way that you play the post in basketball. And then I got Jeff Stoutland after that. And Stout is another guy who's huge on, like, Jason Peters is his favorite offensive lineman ever. Oh my God. Stout was so pumped to, like, the player coach relationship. Stoutland was fucking starstruck by Jason Peters. He had modeled like his offensive lines after him for so long. Jason Peters was a converted tight end, right? Like, these are all the first thing is to be an athlete.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
if you've got size, because you can't train size, if you've got size, people will put a frame on you,
Yeah.
Right.
right? If you don't have size, you still need to be an athlete because you need to be faster, right? The harder, the faster you move, the harder you hit somebody, the better your change of direction, the better your reaction time, like the better you're going to be, no matter what sport you play. And
Right, no
every
doubt.
sport has 2 or 3 other sports that are completely analogous to it. And I don't think there's a professional coach or scout or GM out there who will say, I want a kid who's only ever done one thing, because then you get injuries from the repetitive movements of
Yep.
specific movements. You wear down muscles and joints and bones in certain ways. At the end of the day, you're going to have a longer, healthier career, and you're going to be more successful, I think, if you are a kid who plays multiple sports. And if you don't go past high school, you're going to have more fun and make more friends if you play multiple sports. I think
Absolutely.
that's my experience anyway. It's a little different for
100%.
everybody, but that's my pitch
Right.
on that, and I'll get off my soapbox and shut up.
No,
now.
No,
you're
I was
good.
gonna ask. I was gonna ask, like, because we could talk about this forever. Because I'm always preaching to my kids too. So it's like, where do you think that comes from? You think that's just strictly from the parents, or where do you think that come from?
I
The single sport.
I'm gonna I might get in trouble, but who gives a shit? I think it's marketing. I think it
Yeah.
comes from the leagues, like travel baseball. And I'm going to use this as an example just because it's the most prevalent one around here. And I know that there's volleyball and there's
Mm-hmm.
softball and there's all these other sports that do the same thing. Travel baseball has killed youth sports, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I know other guys who I played at Iowa and in the NFL with who have said the same thing
Yeah.
on news broadcasts and on podcasts. Travel sports has killed youth sports because you're sold this idea that, if you want your kid to be the best, if you want him to go to college, if you want him to go to the pros, whatever, he has to spend all this time. You can't have distractions. He's got to be focused on this one thing. And of course, it's our sport. He's got to be focused on our
Yeah.
sport.
Yep.
Our sport, we're going to make it so expensive that you can't really go out and do anything else, that you
Sure.
have to put all of your time and energy and resources into this thing. We're going to rope the family into it in terms of coaching and volunteering and making these things mandatory to be part of the team. And then we're going to split the team up. And we're going to have the good players on the A team and the bad players on the B team, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're not like an absolute stud and a superstar and a starter on one, your status on which one of those which one of those teams that you're on is going to be dictated by things like, are you playing other sports? Do you like the fact that baseball is basically year round now for some leagues, that they're playing in the spring, they're playing spring ball, they're playing summer ball, they're playing fall ball, they're going to tournaments all over the place. And then even in the winter, they're doing winter workouts in in barns and in factories and warehouses that they've converted into these training centers.
Yeah.
And if you're not fully invested in the team, then we're not we're not going to start your kid, or your kid's going to fall behind. Like, it's a money thing. I don't think it has anything to do with wanting the kids to actually be better. In most cases, I think there's a handful who probably do a nice job,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of it, just from my observation, is this has become a money scheme. This is how people are making their living, is off of the travel program. And you can't let people out of it. Once you've roped them in, you can't let them out, or else you have a hard time getting them back into it, especially if their kids go out and find other interests. So you have to keep them roped into the thing that you're doing. So that's where I do think, I don't think it's produced any better results for us
Yeah.
in terms of athletes. I think it's hurt a lot of kids' careers and potential in other areas.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's good for youth sports in general, because it's killing things like Little League.
Yeah.
Right.
I would
It's
agree on
killing
that.
school sports in some cases.
100%. And like, circling all the way back to Cooper is like, dude, take him for example. I mean, if you look at his career in track and field. That
Yeah.
guy was a fucking freak to watch.
Oh, he
Good
was.
stuff.
It's just like he running like 10 point something in the 100-meter dash, jumping like 24 feet. Like, what?
Do you know who he
Mhm.
reminded me of? And Julian, you're kind of similar age. I think I'm a little older than you. But do you remember back in the day when Adam Haleska from Carroll Kemper played?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Oh
I
yeah.
actually
Remember Halaska?
so Adam was
He
actually
still
from
holds
my
the he
yeah,
still holds the 100-meter dash record.
yeah, so Adam was actually from my hometown of Adair, and we grew up next to each other. And I tell you what, they had to move out of Adair because in Class A, he wasn't going to get any recognition or play any hard teams that were going to showcase his skills. So his dad was our PE teacher, Steve, 6'6". You could tell he played ball, and all of his kids, Sean, Ryan, and Blake, sorry, Adam, Ryan, and Blake. Sean was one of them. Sorry, they all played basketball, but they all ran track. They all did every sport.
Yep.
I mean, Adam holds how many records for track at State and at Drake? Holds so many records for basketball. Holds so many records for football. And I think Blake ended up going and playing at Iowa, and he was the only brother to go down the football path versus going the basketball path. Because I think Sean played at Iowa State for 4 years. And I tell you what, when we were kids, you could tell all three of those kids were going to be special. Every night before dinner, they would have to shoot 100 free throws, and they had to be at 85% or better to come in and eat.
Can't do that anymore.
And Steve would leave them out there at all hours of the night until they hit their 85%. And as you kept going past 100 shots, shoulders, fatigue, everything else, that stat went down. So they could be out there forever. But it served Adam well. He went on to win like the national hoop shoot competition when he was, I want to say, in 5th grade. But he was just so fast, just like his fast twitch muscles, everything that he had. He could jump off of a line quicker than you could stand up. And you knew those kids were special. And I think Adam, seeing him in high school and then seeing Cooper and what he did in basketball, football, and track, I was like, this is Adam Haleska all over again. It was crazy.
Well, and I mean, you see, there's clips of Coop Duncan. They brought those back from high school.
Yeah.
They brought those back after the Super Bowl. And just to kind of piggyback off your story a little bit, I want to make sure that we're also very clear about the fact that we're not saying don't. Julian Vandervelde says don't have a sport that you love. Like that's not, I think, what we're saying.
Right.
If you have a thing that you love, that's your main thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like Jalen Hurts had a bunch of quotes that got famous for him. One of them was I forget where it came from, but keep the main thing the main thing. That's been around for longer than him saying it.
Right.
But like I remember mowing my lawn, and we had like a little hill that went from like the front yard up to the main part of the lawn, and I was the one who mowed the lawn, and football was my thing, and so I would go down to the bottom of the hill, and instead of mowing it like sideways, I would mow up the hill and like drive my legs like up the hill.
Yep.
Like little things like that. I wrestled not because I wanted to wrestle. I wrestled because I wanted to be a better football player.
Right.
Yep.
Right. I threw track not because like I was good at it, but I didn't love throwing track. I loved that I was working on my ground-based explosive power and transferring power from my feet and my my legs, my hips, like everything translated to the fact that I was going to play football, and I knew that.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, you don't just do the one thing, because again, you will break down certain parts of your body through overuse.
Yep.
And wind up with injuries that way. You want to know what your main deal is, and if that's the thing, like my daughter, I think she's too young to really have a main thing, but the first sport she's latched onto is basketball.
Okay.
And so we started with, you never leave the gym on a miss. Like that's
Right.
our first step, right?
Great
We're not
rule.
at you're going to shoot 100 free throws before we leave the YMCA tonight. Like we're not there yet. She's 8, but you never leave the gym on a miss is like the first rule. But she's still going to go play softball, right? She's still going to do a volleyball camp in the summer. Like we're going to do that stuff.
Well-
But when your kids find something that they love, man, formulate everything else around that. And that is cool. I love those stories of guys who like they knew this was going to be their thing, and it was like the work paid off. You look at like the Haluskas and what they did. That level of athleticism from a family is awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point that you bring up. It's like even though you're not doing the thing that you love all the time, find something that can correlate with the thing that you love, right? So you pushing that lawnmower up the hill, you weren't thinking, hey, keep the cut straight. It's like, here's how I'm gonna move my feet when I get out there and I'm on the field. You know what I mean?
Sometimes you got to make that cut a couple times, or you cut like halfway onto the other one because you know you're going to swerve a little bit, but it's
Right.
more about the leg drive than the actual lawn.
Exactly, right? Just correlate what you do love. If you're struggling to have fun with the wrestling or with the track and field, just try to keep in the back of your mind or even in the front of your mind, like, hey, this is why I'm doing it, and this drill is going to help me when I do the thing that I love.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's very important. So that's a very good point.
Yeah, absolutely. Julian, we're going to actually take our first commercial break. We're going to go with Van's Liquor. We got some Guinness from them today. We wanted to kind of start off the St. Patty's holiday in style coming up here in a week or so. So cheers. We'll cheers you over the air here, Julian.
Yeah, I should have come up to the studio. What the heck? If I'd have known there was going to be Guinness.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, Van's Liquor, they sponsor us, and they actually just got some pretty cool stuff in stock finally.
Yep.
What's the name of that?
American's oldest beer, Yingling.
Yingling finally made its way to East Dubuque,
Yeah.
Illinois, and they dropped it on March 3rd, and I know they've still got some up there, but then also they had a really good special going on, single batch Eagle Rare, and it's a special batch for Van's Liquor. You got to go up and buy another single barrel Van special to get access to that one, but it's a hell of a deal, and we got a bottle of it for next time.
Ooh, Mike's going to love that.
We're going to have a little tasting session, so
Yeah.
we're going to hit up Van's Liquor ad here real quick. We'll be right back with you.
Are you ready to make every moment unforgettable? Well, we've got the perfect pit stop for you. Van's Liquor. Need a rare bottle for that special occasion? Van's Liquor has it. Craving the finest beers for your weekend hangout? Van's Liquor has it. Just over the bridge at 470 Cincinnati Avenue, East Dubuque. Van's Liquor has everything you need to turn the ordinary into extraordinary. Don't settle for less. Choose the best at Van's Liquor. Your celebration headquarters in East Dubuque.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us again. If you're just catching out the episode here, we have got former Iowa Hawkeye, former Philadelphia Eagle, and now currently father.
Fly Eagles fly. Bang, bang, Bird Gang.
Father, husband, and assistant. Are you head coach now down at Davenport Central, or are you just assistant?
No, I don't want to have to deal with parents
Okay.
as much as
All right.
possible, so I am an assistant coach.
All right.
Coordinator and O-line coach.
There you
That's
go. There you
awesome.
go. So for anybody who doesn't know who Julian is, he is born and raised here in Iowa. Davenport is where you were born. Is that correct? Or is that where you're from?
I was actually born in Fresno, California.
Okay.
Small trivia fact.
Oh.
Cali boy.
I have no we moved out here when I was so young. I have no memories of California.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
What a jump.
So you finished up. Where'd you finish your high school career at? Was it Davenport?
Yep, Davenport Central all the way.
And
The
now
Blue
you're back.
Devils.
Now you're back at your alma mater, giving back to those kids and shaping the future of football. But you went to Iowa, played offensive line for the University of Iowa under probably one of the best head coaches of all time, Kirk Ferentz.
Absolutely.
Appeared in 37 games throughout your college career. Again, I'm just going off of some stats here. You earned all Big Ten honors for your performance. Now in college, you were an offensive guard.
Mhm.
You were not a center until you got to the NFL, correct?
That is correct. I was
Okay.
in the process of transitioning from guard to center my sophomore year, so it would have been my third year, so redshirt
Okay.
freshman sophomore.
Okay.
And I tore a pec tendon in the weight room.
Ooh.
And so by the time I came back, we kind of put the kibosh on that, and I stayed at guard.
All right. So obviously Iowa known for their offensive line, putting out NFL prospects. Julian was drafted in the 5th round in the 2011 NFL draft, 161st overall by the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to say go Eagles.
Fly Eagles fly.
Yep.
Yes.
You got him to say it.
Yep. So you served as a backup guard and center, kind of moving between the active roster, the practice squad multiple times. And there's one stat that like stood out to me. You had 21 position moves, trades, on and off rosters in your tenure with the Eagles. Is that correct?
Yeah, I to my knowledge, this is an unofficial record.
Okay.
But we still hold that until contested.
Yeah.
I hold the record for the most transactions.
Yeah.
With a single team in the NFL.
There's our headline right there.
Yeah.
NFL record holder.
Yeah. Now, you had a really cool story when we were talking down at Grow Clinton. You were actually backup for a time until you had your back injury, right? For Jason Kelce. So tell us a little bit about, like, I'm a Chiefs fan, you know that. I love Travis. I love Jason. Like, I was really hoping, I know Jason's passion is with the Eagles and he would never go to another team, but I felt like after his retirement, I was like, God, can Travis bring him on? Would Travis be able to transition? But then I thought to myself, like, we've already got a fucking stellar center. Like, what would Jason truly do?
Well, and he's an Eagle.
For the team. And yeah, and that's what I thought too.
He ain't going to play at Kansas City, I don't think.
But here's a little bit more background, and it's going to kind of tie back into this Kelce thing here real quick. Post-football career, obviously you've worked in the solar industry, you've worked in the electric industry, you're now an assistant coach at Davenport Central, but I think there's one cool fact about you that I didn't even know. You're a singer.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Hell yeah.
So this, like you mentioned earlier, you did a bunch of stuff in high school. You did wrestling, you did football, but you did choir. And where did you get your passion for singing or for music?
So, just to tie the Kelce thing in a nice little ribbon,
All right.
I will let you know that my daughter introduces me as Taylor Swift's boyfriend's brother's former backup. So
it's like the
That's awesome.
She's a Swiftie, right?
Okay.
She's a big old Swiftie.
So
and
here you go. You can tell your daughter. You can
So,
tell your
she
daughter
likes
that the person that you did the podcast with went and saw Taylor Swift during the Eras tour. So that'll be really cool, and she'll like that.
She'll be so jealous.
Yeah.
My,
so you
my,
can tell
my
her
little
that.
sister got to go see the Eras tour, and my daughter's massive Swiftie. I will say, 100%, it's a stereotypical thing that happened when Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce got together. But my daughter and I had never watched a football game together before that, and now she will sit down and watch. It doesn't even matter if the Chiefs are playing. She'll sit down and watch any game with me and be like, "Do you think there's a chance that they'll show Taylor?" I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
maybe
don't
just
think
keep
this
watching,
is-
honey. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, this is Eagles Cowboys. I don't think so. But you know what? Hey, you never know. It
You
could
never
happen.
know.
Maybe she's there. But no, so my mom was very big on me doing everything.
Okay.
Until I was 12, she raised me as a single mother. And so growing up, there was never a point in time where it was like, no, you can't do that thing. Anything I was interested in doing, she always made sure that there was a way that I was able to do that. And my family, while not necessarily known as like as a musical family by any means, pretty much everybody in my family just kind of sings. Just, mom in the car singing, grandpa, up in when we would visit him, he'd just kind of walk around boop, 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 like constantly kind of singing. And so when I got to middle school, I think it was when we really figured it out. My second year, when I was in seventh grade, was the first year that we did any sort of like musical theater. And we knew from fifth, we started choir. I think it was in fifth grade back then. It was the first year that we did choir, and I could sing, and they were kind of like, oh, cool, you can kind of sing. In sixth grade, it was like, I got into choir. And I was like, cool. And then we did the musical as my seventh grade year. And it was my seventh grade musical was Fiddler on the Roof.
Okay.
That was it. And I was Raptevia. Still one of my favorite roles I've ever played. And so I kind of got this reputation because I really leaned into it and did the whole dance and everything during If I Were a Rich Man. And I kind of got this reputation as a performer, and that I could sing too. And we did South Pacific in my eighth grade year, and I got into high school. And when I got into high school, there was kind of this idea of, okay, what am I going to do that's going to get me into college?
Yeah.
At the time, because I was a Little League World Series kid from back in the day, I still kind of thought I was going to play baseball for a while. I figured out after my freshman year that I liked hitting people more than I liked hitting balls, so we switched, and football became the main thing at that point. But through my high school career, I knew I could sing. I did the high school musical every year. I was all-state choir. And my mom got me into private voice lessons with with a lady out here in Long Grove, who is like a nationally renowned vocal coach or something like that. Um, and so we kind of started to nurture these two things. The football and the singing became kind of the two things that sort of, rose at the same point. And at one point I figured, if I wasn't going to get a football scholarship, because back then they didn't give you scholarships until, like your senior year, right?
Right.
They're supposed to. It wasn't like they were offering eighth graders out of, Tuscaloosa.
As soon
um
as you were born, get him a
but
Oh
scholarship.
gosh.
don't get me started on recruiting and NIL.
Right.
I know how to fix it, but we won't get into it. The but that so that was my thing, was I'm either gonna go to Iowa on a vocal scholarship or on a football scholarship. And I ended
Very
up
cool.
getting the football scholarship, which worked out really well. But it was never like a thing that was at the forefront for me intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
I just knew that I had a voice, and I don't know if you can tell right now, my voice is actually shot, because we not only went through this illness as a family last week, but I'm my wife got headhunted to be the stage manager for the Spotlight Theater production of Titanic the musical, the Broadway
Oh
musical down here
wow.
in
Very
Davenport.
cool.
It's a very male heavy cast. They were short like 9 guys after the rehearsal. That's how male heavy the cast is.
Yeah.
So she leaned on me a little bit and got me to
Oh
be a
man.
part of the cast. So
That is
I'm
cool.
jumping back on the stage for
All
the
right.
first time in a long time. Um,
When does
but
that
that's
show jump
one
off?
thing that I what I love about it is, like, my body's completely broken at this point. I don't know how Kelsey did it for so long. Like, I ran sprints. I ran one sprint at 100% 3 years ago when I first started coaching against the high schoolers, to be like, hey, let me show them I still got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I tore my quad, and it still hasn't healed, and
Yeah.
my knees are starting to go and all this different stuff. But my voice is something that I can still
Yeah.
use.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where, like, NFL stands for not for long. You
Yep.
rarely play it very long in life, but you can always sing, and it's something that my wife is attracted to talent, so the more things I can do to impress her, the better.
Absolutely, dude. And you know what? Like, there's so much joy in singing, even
Oh
if
yeah.
you're not even good at it. Like, it just releases endorphins in your body that just make you feel so good. I feel like,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah,
that's
more
awesome.
people should do karaoke. Our first, like, I can't tell you how many exactly, because I'm probably shortchanging it. I think the first 30 to 35 dates that my wife and I went on
Yeah.
when we were first getting together were karaoke dates. We had
Okay.
a friend who was a karaoke DJ, and 3 nights a week he would do karaoke somewhere in the Quad Cities. And we would go out together, me and her, sometimes just the two of us, sometimes with another friend or two or three other friends, and we would do karaoke for like 3 hours. And it was just such a cool bonding experience, and everybody in the bar gets into it.
Oh yeah.
Ideally, right? If you're in a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
place
If
and
you're good
everybody
at it,
cares,
Yeah.
yeah, whether or not the singers are any good, like, I feel like if you're willing to lean into karaoke, man, it's a good time. The
yeah.
Japanese have that figured out, that's for sure.
So your wife has some pipes too, then, huh? I guess I don't want to get you in trouble.
let's let's say we both love to sing,
All
Okay,
right. There you
good,
go.
good,
There you go.
good,
There you
and
go.
she will agree with that we both love to sing.
That's funny.
I love music, but
Yeah,
I'm not a singer. Like
me either.
I've got a voice and a face for radio,
Yeah,
but I can't sing. Um, church
No, I'm
church
just giving her
music.
yeah.
shit. She sings really well.
There you
Oh,
go.
good.
If she ever sees this, she'll get really mad at that point and just punch me, and then it'll be.
Well, let me ask you, when does your show actually debut?
Oh man, I wish I had a poster. I'd hold it up in front of the screen.
Yeah.
It is, I believe, April 4th is
Oh,
our
it's coming up.
first performance. Yeah, it's right around the. It's, they give us a short turnaround time for this one. It has been. Let me tell you, this is my first time doing, like, community theater,
Yeah.
right? Doing public community theater. Uh, I don't know if there's just more people who are really good singers out there in the world that I'm unaware of, or if this cast is just incredible. But, like, I have been so impressed with the quality of singers in the Quad Cities. And I know, the theater kids kind of stick together. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
they all kind of know each other. I'm kind of the newbie to this group compared to a lot of other people. But I mean, we get together and we do you have like your blocking rehearsals and then you have your singing rehearsals. And man, those singing rehearsals, it's like, was everybody here like all district choir or did we just hit the freaking jackpot? Because it sounds incredible.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome.
Spotlight Theater. It's not what I like about it is there's not a lot of dancing in the show because that's
Okay.
the one thing I can't do. Um, but there's a lot of really good singing and it's you don't come to the Titanic going, I wonder what's going to happen at the end. But it is it's a really good it's a
That's
really
funny.
good show. So check out Spotlight Theater. Come
All
see
right.
us at Titanic.
Well, I'll tell you
Yeah,
what.
we'll pump that.
Send us a flyer. You've got. I'll
Yeah,
shoot you the email, and then you can just send us a flyer, and
perfect.
we'll put it up on socials, and we'll put it in the description
For
for the
sure we
episode
will.
as well when it goes live. So
Appreciate it.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. A couple other interesting facts about Mr. Vandervelde here is that it says you were fluent in multiple languages. Obviously, English being your first, but let's hear a couple of these other ones. Like was Japanese was a study major that you had in college at Iowa.
Yeah, so
Uh,
gibberish is definitely one.
okay,
You get that when you have multiple children, you learn gibberish.
Oh yeah.
all right,
Um, the other one, I wouldn't say I'm fluent in anything else. I minored in Japanese
okay.
back in college. Daikoku no toki ni Nihongo o benkyou shimashita. Demo ima mada mada desu.
I don't know, bro, but that's a hell of a lot better
Hanashimasen.
than I could say.
I'm not sure, but he said, I'm pretty good, but I'm okay at it.
Yeah, I was like, I can still like if you dropped me in the middle of Tokyo, I could find my way home. I can do directions, I
Yeah,
can order food,
Awesome.
where's the bathroom, I need a place to sleep. Like I could do that.
that's awesome.
But I could not get a job there. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, yeah. Any other thing other than English, Japanese,
Those are the only two.
the
I
prime?
studied Spanish.
Okay.
It should be super easy. It's very similar to English in a lot of ways.
Yep.
I think that the passion for something
Yeah,
is a massive driver in how successful that you
for
are
sure.
For sure.
going to be.
For
And for
sure.
me, when I was 8 years old, we were visiting my grandparents. They had cable, we did not.
Okay.
And that was the first time that I ever saw Dragon Ball Z. Uh,
Oh.
Okay.
it was Toonami was on back in the day, right? The old when Toonami was right,
Yeah.
DBZ, Sailor Moon, Ronin Warriors, Gundam Wing, like back in the day. So, and the first time I saw Dragon Ball Z, I absolutely fell in love with anime, and it sparked this kind of this obsession that has blossomed and finally came to fruition. It was actually the after I retired from the NFL, I finally got to go to Japan. But like my whole life from the age of 8 to 25 or no, basically 8 to 28. I think it's exactly right. I I desperately wanted to go to Japan. I wanted to learn everything about the culture and learn about the history, and I wanted to learn the language, but I couldn't find anybody here in the Quad Cities who I could take Japanese lessons from. So when I got to college and I had the opportunity to do that, I absolutely jumped on it. And the only reason I didn't get a major in it was because you had to do the study abroad
Oh.
in order to get the major. Part of it was there was a trip that you had to go on, fourth year Japanese, that all my friends from my Japanese class got to go on, and you had to go. You went to Japan. You stayed there with a host family for a couple of months. You studied and whatnot over there. And I tell people all the time, based on the 10 days that I spent over there after I was done
Yeah.
playing football, it was probably a good thing I didn't go on that trip.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you right now, if I did not have a wife and a kids to come home to, y'all would have never seen my ass again.
Really?
I'd have stayed over there after that 10 days. I've been like, well, guess I live here now,
Yeah,
and
I've heard
just stay.
I've heard that's a great trip to make.
Yeah. Japan
That's
is
a
on
great
my
trip.
bucket list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ours too. We go
Yeah.
out of the country, so we go different state every year, and then we go out of the country every 5 years, and that will be that's on my list. I don't know if it's on my wife's, but that's on my list.
Yep.
I definitely don't want to I want to go to Tokyo just to experience what Tokyo is, but I want to go to Hokkaido. And I think that's where I would really thrive in. I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, we've talked about it before. I love Asian women.
Yeah.
My wife's gonna hate hearing that. She knows it. She knows it. But like
he's going, yeah.
that is my golden palace is just anywhere in Japan, but Hokkaido would be it. So big fan of that. I kind of want to get back to the music because the Eagles are known recently for their Christmas album between Jason Kelce,
Yes.
Jordan Mailata, and is it Lane Johnson? Lane Johnson was
I
in
think
there.
Lane's on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lane's the other one on that,
So,
right?
yep, Lane is. So let me ask you this. You're playing football for the Eagles at the same time Jason Kelce's there. Obviously, he hasn't hit his stride in his musicianship or his singing career because he had some vocal coaches up before that Christmas album hit. However, he's a very versatile and very talented person. Did you and Jason ever sing in the locker room? Did you guys ever do the karaoke? I mean, did you guys like break it down and just, have some like riff offs with each other?
No, and it makes me sad because I can tell
Yeah.
you right now, like he might have had vocal. I don't know if he did have vocal coaches before the album. If that's an official thing, that's fine. I would not have even thought that he needed them because I know when I was there, right?
Yep.
I heard him every now and then just kind of mess around, and like the dude had pipes. Dude
Yeah.
could sing. He was what? He's a what does he play saxophone? Is that right
Yeah.
too? He's
Yep.
That's cool.
he's an incredible saxophonist. Like Jason Kelce is one of those dudes. First of all, awesome human being,
Yeah.
right? Just incredible person. That energy and intensity that you see from him like on TV, that's him all the time. That's him out at the bars at night. That's him on the practice field. That's him at an outdoor concert on the Temple campus. Like all the different environments that I've seen him in, Jason is that guy. So
Yeah.
it is legit. That is who he is. The I know he can sing for sure. It would have been really cool to have been able to do something with him.
Yeah.
I would say we were never really like super close, like in the way
Sure.
where I'd be like, hey Kelsey, you want to like, do an album together or something?
Yeah.
It was like, Jason, let's go. I wish I would have at some point in time when the O-line was trying to figure out what to do for like an O-line night or something, but like, hey, let's all go out to karaoke.
Yeah.
Like I think that would have been sweet.
Yeah.
But he's definitely, I know he's got the chops. I'm not worried about
Absolutely. When I heard about the Christmas album dropping, I really got into the YouTube stuff and started digging into it. And I tell you what, Jordan Mailata's story into the NFL as well. Like never played football in his life. Played rugby.
What?
Played rugby, right? And so when the NFL decided, okay, we're gonna try to expand our breadth across the world and get people involved in American football, they started doing this thing where they're pulling people out of other countries that have the attributes, that have the size, that have the speed, that can correlate to a football player. So like, I can't remember what year he got brought into the league, but it was probably in like 2019, 2018, somewhere around in there as like a foreign exchange student type of deal where they brought him in, so to speak. They had tryouts and stuff like that, but 6'8", nimble on his feet, fast as hell, coordination, hand fighting. I mean, brought him in. They're like, he's never going to make it. And I mean, the dude caught on to everything. And now he's all pro starter, got a Christmas album with Jason Kelce, 2-time Super Bowl champ. You know what I mean? Like it's fucking crazy. And then to hear this guy sing, have you heard Hawaiians do like the ukulele and like, like Izzy do the, over the rainbow? Exactly. This guy has got such a vocal range for such a big dude that it's fucking nuts. Like, have you heard their Christmas album?
No.
Yeah, he is my favorite like story.
Yeah.
And I love like he's one of those guys who should be mic'd up every game because the more you hear him, the more you're like, this dude's awesome. Right.
Yeah.
He is funny. He's having a good time while he's playing which that was like Brandon Graham, right? Same way. Always having a good time. One of those guys who are fun and who love the game. Like Jordan's like that. BG's like that. Jason was like that. Lane's a little bit. He's having a good time in a different way. But I love listening to Jordan Mailata. When he's talking, when he's singing, when he's just kind of. And yeah, that story is incredible. I will say, I'm a little bit worried about the number of Australians that we have coming over to to this sport. Like what every punter in college
Yep.
football almost now
Yep.
is Australian.
And
They're getting like punting academies in Australia that are training
absolutely.
dudes to come over here.
I
Like
mean,
if that extends to other arenas,
yeah,
then we could be in trouble.
we could be.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, though, like I think the NFL is doing a great job of marketing that across the seas to other countries to get them involved. I mean, who would have thought an Australian rugby player would be playing in the NFL? Would have made the team, would have
Killing
made a
it.
cut. And I mean,
Be all pro.
I mean, you know who Jordan is, right? He's 6'8" and 360 pounds. The guy's massive. And he moves
couldn't
like
imagine.
he moves like a tight end sometimes. Like they're all taped
Mhm.
up and stuff, and they're restricted in what they can do mobility wise. But I would not want to meet him in a dark alley. First off, he's friendly as hell, I'm sure, but don't piss the guy off.
Well, that's usually what it is, right? If you're super friendly, super, you know, if you're super nice, you don't want to piss those people off. Those are the people that get the angriest when you do make them mad.
Yeah,
Yeah, I will say I'm not at all surprised. Like the description that you gave of him is spot on, and it's one of the things I used to tell people. Like I was always amazed that I made it in the NFL as long as I did. First of all, like there are people in the NFL who had no business being there, who like athletically, right,
mm-hmm.
who were not prototypical NFL guys, but made careers out of it, whether it was 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Um, but the fact that some people, like I am 6'2",
Yeah,
right, 6'1" and 7/8 according to the combine. I'm 6'2". I played at 295 pounds. I have long arms for my height, but that was like my only real
yeah,
thing that I had going for me, and I was quick. Like, okay.
yep,
Jason Peters was like 340, 350 pounds, 6 foot, 4'6'5", and this guy moved like a cat. It was superhuman watching somebody that big be that quick and that agile, and deliver the kind of force that he did. Like Mailata is that level of just
yeah,
insane athleticism. Like Lane Johnson is small,
in
right,
comparison.
compared to the guys he's playing. Like
Absolutely.
Mekhi Becton, he's sitting there playing next to a guy who at guard outweighs him by like 50 pounds and is like 2 inches taller than him. It's the whole Eagles offensive line is just a bunch of freaking superheroes
Hmm.
that just are wearing a different kind of uniform. Like the type of freaks that show up in professional sports is so outrageous. I don't think everybody really comprehends. Like
Yeah.
they see me and they're like, "Oh, that's an NFL player." No, I was a pretty good college player who found his way into a system with some people who understood that he could understand and who made a career out of it. Like
Yeah,
there were people out on the outfield that were just monsters.
agreed.
And those are the guys who, the guy, when you talk about like an all pro level guy, like those dudes are on a completely different
Different level.
level
Yeah.
as far as their athleticism and their physical talents. It's absurd
Yeah,
just how incredible some of those guys are. And Kelsey, to his credit, I mean, we were almost the same size. I think he weighed less than me by 10 pounds.
yeah.
We
He
were
was a
almost
small
exactly
center.
the same height. He was a small center, and he beat the shit out of dudes
Yep.
who were bigger than us, who had longer arms than us, who were stronger than us, I mean, Kelsey in the weight room, he hung with the biggest and baddest guys. And his body, to its credit, held up because mine did not, right,
Yeah.
and could not under those stresses. But that was his durability, I guess. That was one of his, that and the fact that I think he knew Chip Kelly's offense better than Chip did.
Yeah.
About a year in to us having that, like, into the change, the Andy Reid to Chip Kelly changeover. Like his mind for the game was unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it in my life outside of maybe like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Right, we
Yeah.
did joint practices with Tom Brady. That was another level of like the processing speed that those guys have is outrageous. But that's, to play at that level for an extended period of time, like
Oh, sure.
you got to have something.
Right.
Absolutely.
You got to have
You
something.
got to have something special about you.
Mhm.
So I got to ask you, if you had to go back again, because I know your love for the Iowa Hawkeyes is there, and after you retired from the NFL, you're still a diehard Iowa Hawkeye fan. I know that deep down. Had you not gone to the Iowa Hawkeyes and had you not been in Kirk Ferentz's program or you not had an O-line coach like Morgan, do you think you would have made it into that NFL system?
I don't think so. We brought up earlier how I think a passion is an incredible indicator
Mm-hmm.
of how good you're going to be at something or can be, right? Where your ceiling is. Part of that, when you love something and you're passionate about it, I think it raises the ceiling that you have for how good you're willing to be at it. And I actually, so the two scholarship offers that I was considering at the time that I made my college decision were I'd gotten an offer to play defensive line for Stanford or offensive line at Iowa.
Oh,
Okay.
And obviously my mom, who has worked at the AEA, she's worked in education all of her life. Education was always her first priority. She wanted me to go to Stanford, but she understood like Iowa was in my heart. That was where I wanted to be. And I wanted to be an offensive lineman for the Hawkeyes. Like that was the dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
The dream wasn't even to make it to the NFL, it was to be an Iowa Hawkeyes offensive lineman. And so when I got there, everything was just centered on that focus of you are achieving your dream, don't fuck this up.
Yeah.
yeah.
And like I was started out, I came in, I was pre-med to start because I wanted to be a radiologist like my grandfather. And I figured out real quick I could not do radiology and
Football.
or I couldn't do pre-med and football, right?
Yeah.
Did not have the time, didn't have the brain space capacity, couldn't do it. So I changed majors so that I could focus more on football. I remember at one point Coach Doyle brought me into his office when I was at the end of my freshman year or my redshirt freshman year, and he asked me, like, hey man, how do you feel like you're doing? I understand you're doing a lot of different things. So I was doing some extracurriculars, some club stuff, Japanese Cultural Association and stuff. And he's like, do how do you feel like you're taking your time and your efforts, right? Tell me all the things that you're doing. Do you feel like you're giving 100% in football? I said, yeah, coach, I give 100% at everything. He goes, that's the problem. You
Yeah.
don't have 100% to give at everything. You have to pick because you do only have 100% to give.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to give 100% to everything, you're actually only giving like 20% here and 30% here and 40% there. You've got to figure out if this is really what you want to do, then this has to be the thing that gets the biggest chunk of that percentage, whatever that percentage is you're willing to give it. I was just like, oh shit, he's right. And I know like Pat Anger has talked about having the same conversation, I think
Yeah.
with Norm Parker or something at one point. Might have been Coach Doyle, but that kind of, that flip that switch that they flip, that good coaches are able to, of making you understand that if this is something that you want, there's a way to get it, and I'm going to help you get there, but you got to want it too.
Right.
And so because being a Iowa Hawkeye offensive lineman was the thing, that was the dream, and I wasn't going to lose that. I kind of, I camped everything else that I was passionate about down and just hammer focused on it because I came in behind an incredible recruiting class, right? Dace Richardson, Raphael Eubanks, Andy Kumpel, Dan Doring, like 4-star, 5-star guys ahead
Yeah.
of me. So I came in thinking, I'm going to ride the bench behind these incredible dudes and learn from them and be back up for 4 years. And then my senior year, I'll try to work my way into a starting spot. And then I will, hopefully get into like an NFL, I'll be like an undrafted free agent, like
Sure.
at the end of it, or I'll try my hand at it and see how it goes, if that's in the cards for me. And so when I found myself starting my redshirt freshman year, it was like, oh shit,
Here we go.
like this is
This is
this is
real.
really happening.
Yeah.
Like that's, it's like, okay. And you kind of, you figure out it really, when there's something that you want and you're willing to put everything else to the side and you get the opportunity to do it, like just don't miss your shot.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was very fortunate to not miss it, because I think if I'd been at Stanford, or if I'd been at, I went to camp at Michigan, Georgia Tech, any of these other places that I'd gotten a scholarship offer from, I don't think I would have done very well, because I didn't want to be a Cardinal or
Yeah.
a yellow jacket or anything like else. I wanted to be a Hawkeye. And so when I was
Right.
there, everything that I did was like, don't fuck this up, man.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
That is awesome, and what a testament for future Hawkeyes out there. What a great what do I want to say? What a great advertisement to that program to be like, hey, they'll be here for you,
Yeah.
and credit to that coach to sit you down and be like, hey, you have it, we see it, you know, you're not giving 100%. You might think you are, but you're really not, and here's why you're not. You know, that's
And I think Doyle was more than a strength coach. I really do.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think what he did and helped that program with, like, you get most strength guys, or girls nowadays too. You get most strength coaches in the system, and they're just there to get you strong. They're there to get you, flexible. They're there to get some speed for you. But like, it's truly just building your body up. But I mean, the mental game that Doyle brought to his players and was able to put on them changed lives
yeah.
for the better, I thought. And it was unfortunate the way that, Doyle's departure happened. It truly was. But I think there are a lot of people that are better off for having known him and studied underneath him. 100%.
Yeah. I mean, say what you will about and we won't get into that whole era of the program and the situation and what happened there. But to your point, like, he was, not only was he constantly looking for new ways to make you better as an athlete, right? Like, I mean, we're talking Russian power lifters, right? He would go back and study like Russian power lifters to look for new ways to link different parts of the body and generate power. And he was always on the cutting edge of everything. He was always looking forward and backward, it seemed, to simultaneously, in order to physically develop you into the best person you could be. Like, reading lists, right? And meditation techniques and the mental side of the game, and how your mental strength in the weight room translates to the mental strength that you have when you're on the field, and never giving up and building that belief in yourself and in your teammates, that everybody, that we can do more together. And like the games that he played with us, as far as our mental and emotional state, I think, to really truly not just bring out the best in us physically, but to try and make us the best versions of ourselves, I think was incredible.
Yeah,
And I don't think I do think, to your point, there's a lot of people who wound up so much better
absolutely.
for having known him. and
Absolutely.
and again, not going to get into what happened at the end of it, but that was the truth.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great stopping point for us to take our next ad break. We're going to hear from 1-800 T-shirts with Tom Rowan. Mike officially got our first swag from the podcast store. Great sweatshirts, great
Yeah,
T-shirts.
super
You
comfortable.
put some in the chat the other day. So
Yeah.
if you guys are looking for any Manstream podcast merch, links in the description of the video here. Go out there. But Tom's got a really cool deal for anybody that's got a business, small business, medium size. You want to do some rebranding, remarketing for yourself. For our first 10 people who utilize our Manstream code with Tom, they're going to get a free branding kit from him, over a $500 value. And I tell you what, you hear some more from Tom here.
Let's face it, you want your business to look professional, but your custom apparel just isn't cutting it right now. Well, at 1-800 T-shirts, we're not going to let that happen. We got a whole team of in-house designers to elevate your brand and your image into something you can be proud of, for your customers to wear, for your employees to wear, and to love. We've got an exclusive offer just for the Manstream podcast listeners. Go to 1-800T-shirts.com/Manstream and get your business branding kit for free with your first order. We're only going to do it for the first 10 people. Go to 1-800T-shirts.com/Manstream.
All right. Thank you, Tom, for those kind words from 1-800 T-shirts. Again, link is in the description of the video here. Go down, click on it, get your free branding kit. It's only available to the first 10 customers, and let them know the Manstream sent you. So back to our conversation here with one of the coolest dudes from Iowa and
Yeah.
the NFL. Again,
Yeah.
Julian Vandervelde has been kind enough to join us. Talked a lot about Iowa football. We've talked a lot about the Eagles, talked a lot about your passions. What's next for you in your career? I know you're coaching at Davenport Central. It seems like football's been a legacy for you. Davenport's been your home. You're back at your alma mater. What legacy do you want to leave on the next generation of athletes, regardless if it's football or another sport, in your community, and how are you working right now to build up the youth within your school system to see the ability to go to the next level and whatever they want it to be, whether it's music, choir, play, band, track and field, basketball, or football? What are you doing right now for those kids?
I think the thing that gives me the most confidence in what we're doing at Central is the way that we're going about it. I was very fortunate. I've seen guys who had more talent and potential than me not make it to the next level because of off the field stuff. And that always ate at me a lot. That some of the guys that I played with in high school who absolutely should have played at the next level and potentially beyond didn't make it, and it was not because of anything that they did on the field or injury or anything like that. Nothing that you couldn't control. It was personal choice. Um, and I was a little in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program growing up, so I believe heavily in the power of mentorship. And so my way of doing that, I decided was going to be through football. Decided I didn't want to coach college or professional football because I have too many friends who are doing that. And I played with GJ Kinney, and I think his first like 7 years of his coaching career, he went from being like an analyst in Philadelphia down to a small school in Texas where he was the offense coordinator. Then he was with Gus Malzahn at Florida, UCF for a little bit, and then he was the offense coordinator at Hawaii for a little bit, and then he went back down in Texas to Incarnate Word, and now he's taken over at Texas State. It's like this kid has a wife and child. Like I can't
Yeah.
imagine bouncing my family literally
Right.
from the East Coast to the Southeast to Hawaii to the deep South. Like couldn't do it. So I decided we're gonna stay put here, and I'm gonna do this at home. And the our head coach, his name is Alex Berg, does a tremendous job. Um, I think one of the things that we've kind of latched onto with each other, because we used to, when I was volunteering while I was still playing, he was the head sophomore coach, and we always vibed on. He's from the Chicago suburbs. I'm from Davenport, and we feel like it doesn't matter where you're from. At the end of the day, you want to wind up in a better place. And a better place doesn't always mean playing college football. The better place, I mean, some of our kids, like 50% of our kids or something crazy like that, are free and reduced lunch. Some of them are the primary caretakers in households where their parents work 3 jobs. They have
Yep.
younger siblings, and they're also working to try and support their younger siblings. So we want to try and create an environment in this football program that not only is building guys up and building a successful program, that's kind of secondary, and it's a slower process in doing that because we're more focused on character building, on making sure that they have their grades in place, on supporting them with career opportunities after high school. We instituted a mandatory grade. No, you can't be failing any classes in order to play. And we started when we took over the program, the sheet of guys that had F's in the program was 2.5 pages long.
Oh my gosh.
And we wound up week 1 of last year, we had nobody on the F's
That's
list.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
We came and started doing mandatory character training. So we got all the kids in one class for what's called guided study we have at Central, and we do character training with them every week. Reading books, going through quotes, having guest speakers and stuff like that. It was nice when I was in my previous job. I worked for a merit shop electrical contractor. One of our other coaches was a union carpenter, and we would tell all the outgoing seniors, like, look, whatever way you want to go, right? You've got somebody here who you can talk to.
Yeah.
We can help you get
Yep.
apprenticeships. We can help you get into the union hall. We can we'll stick our necks out for you guys, and help find you a place. If that's what you want to do, is go into the trades, we're going to be there to be a resource for you.
Which is a great avenue.
And so I
Yeah.
think that's the thing that I'm most proud of right now. Is I think wins will come, whether or not they do. Quite frankly, I already know that we have made a positive impact on the lives of these guys, and they will then go on to make a positive impact in our community and in the lives of others.
Yep.
And I think that ultimately that's the goal, right? Is you
Yep.
want to leave the
Yeah.
world a better place than you found it.
Yep.
So that's what we're trying to do.
Couldn't agree
and
more.
dude, kudos to you, because that's what makes a tremendous coach, honestly, is when you don't necessarily set the goals on wins or how many state appearances you've had. It's literally, how can I make you a better person and prepare you for what life is ahead? And for the majority of athletes, they don't make it to that next level. So it is a goal to teach them how to survive in the real world and what it takes, right? So that's awesome.
Yep.
That's the best way to look at coaching high school, I feel like, is just making sure you're teaching in the right values of
Yeah.
life that get them to that next step. Like you said, you got connections, use them. And
Yep.
I'm one of them. So use it.
Yeah, I think my biggest
Mhm.
positive reaction from like coaching high school athletes is years later than now seeing them with starting a family,
Right.
having their career, having a wife, having a
Yeah.
kid, or, getting married, whatever it may be, being successful outside of the field or the court or whatever it may have been for them. It's just really cool to see. And like, you never know when you're going to so for example, the other day I was up in Dubuque and I had to run and get gas at the BP over on Pennsylvania. Who walks in? Cade Doherty.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, coach, what's going on, man?" And
Yep.
I'm like, "Oh my God, I haven't seen you in like 5 years. Like, what are you up to?" And he's like, "Well, college wasn't it for me. Didn't finish, but he's like, got a good job." He's like, "I'm working for, I'm pretty sure it's like ABC Supply or something like that up in Dubuque." He's working, not as a construction person, but he's working as an account executive for them, selling into construction sites and with GCs and stuff. And I said, that's awesome, man. I'm super happy for you. So it's just really cool to see, some of the kids that struggled in high school succeed after that.
Yeah.
And that to me is like, I could care less if anybody went D1, made it to a pro league or anything like that. Just seeing them be good people and churn out well.
Yeah, I love that too, because I like, when I was growing up in high school, I was kind of a shithead, and I kind of just like wanted to have fun, and I was a pretty decent athlete, but like, I my goals were elsewhere. And so as a coach, but I always had a super passion for connecting with people like that. So as a coach,
Yeah.
like, I would always find myself attaching myself to those athletes that were kind of had a troubled life, or were always looked at by the adults of like, oh, he's just a shithead, he's just a troublemaker, he's here just to goof around. I have so many athletes that I've had, people give up on that I still talk to daily, that have made it to the Air Force, that have made it to fighting fires in Montana and stuff like that. It's really great, and you have to see past that and really look into the inner person of what somebody is. And if you can connect to that person, you can have a major impact on their life. And I think that's like super important, right?
Yep, absolutely. I think that's the best thing you can do. Julian, we're going to get to our draft here. I hope you have your musical albums ready. We're going to take our last ad break here from Lit Up Midwest. We got a lot of ads, man. So we got to run this last one, and we will be back here in just a moment.
Am I the only one that didn't know you can light up your home year-round? Let's talk about Lit Up Midwest. Imagine 16 million lighting combinations, 250 colors per sequence, nearly invisible by day, dazzling by night. Perfect for holidays, parties, or just to make your home stand out. With a one-time installation, enjoy up to 20 years of customizable, permanent lighting.
All right. Thank you, Adam Kafer with Lit Up Midwest. If you guys need any exterior home lighting solutions, give Adam Kafer a call. Mention the Man Street podcast. You'll get 20% off your install and the price of everything, which, 20% off is 20% off,
Yeah,
man.
that's a pretty decent chunk, especially if you're talking about permanent lighting and stuff like that, where you can
Yeah.
throw up, you got homecoming for the Hawkeyes, and you can throw up the black and gold lights and
I
make
don't
them
know if
flash
you,
every.
hold on. I don't know if you can throw black lights up. Can you?
What you mean? Yes, you can, brother.
Oh yeah,
Yes, you can.
100%.
Every time there's a
100%.
touchdown, they're.
All right.
Come on now.
I know Olsen does the gold, well, the yellow and the white. He does the clear.
Oh, he
when
does?
it. Yeah.
I
think
bet
he-
there's an option for that.
I think there should be.
I bet
But
there is.
we're back at it here. Back with Julian Vandervelde. We're going to do our draft here. So I gave Julian a little heads up, but not a whole lot.
Yeah.
We try to keep this pretty impromptu. Draft tonight, Julian, is going to be your top 5 musical albums of all time.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're going to the 20s, the 30s, if you're a flapper man. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, or you know, or something that made it that the albums that made a big impact in your life or something
Absolutely.
like that, and it's perfect right up his alley. 'Cause he's got the
Yes.
pipes.
He's a musician. So we're going to give you the honors, and you're going to get your first selection. So how our draft works, it's going to go snake draft. Julian's first, Mike's second. I'll go third, and then I'll have 2 picks, and then we'll go back the other way. If a pick is taken, you cannot use it again.
Yeah.
So that is how our draft works. It gets a little spicy in here because when the 4 of us are normally here, when Mike and Ryan are here, we tend to overlap on a lot of things, and we get a
Yeah.
little pissy with each other because, like, that was a great fucking choice. Like,
That's what I wanted to be.
like you stole my number 2. So we're gonna give you the floor. Give us your number 1. It doesn't have to be your top one of all time. Just give us one of your best albums.
I mean, it's gonna be. Let me preface this first of all. I was the singer of a rock band, a metal band for a number of years.
Oh, that's
All right.
awesome.
My stepdad, when he married my mom, he gave me his like case of cassette tapes, right? For anybody in this listening to this whose birthday starts with a 2. All right, cassette tapes were things we used to play music on.
Yeah.
Right, where you put them in. You didn't go to Spotify. It wasn't even a CD where you could skip song to song. Like, you put the cassette in and you listened to that song,
Yeah, front to back.
or to that whole thing, and then you flipped it over and there's a second side. I know it's weird.
It's-
Anyway, so rock music is a big thing for me.
All
And
right.
I mean, I would stay up well past my bedtime, past when my parents thought I was asleep, with headphones in, listening to the tapes that he gave me in that cassette box. I could literally fill all of my 5 with Metallica albums. I won't do that. I will just start with my personal favorite. And I think this is a good category because it's not like artist or song where you could just pick like one thing.
Yep.
Front to back, top to bottom, the whole album as a whole that you could listen to without skipping anything. For me, number 1 is Metallica's Black Album.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
All right. Metallica Black.
Yeah.
All right. That
Yeah.
is a good one.
That is good. And he's super passionate about it too, right? You can tell. It's like it really cuts him deep, so that's awesome.
For sure.
Oh,
This one,
I get flashbacks to like childhood listening to that album. So that's
Yeah.
that's
my number 1, that's kind of like for me too, is I have some older siblings. I have a sister that's 10 years older than me, 7 years older than me, and then a brother that's 2. And I specifically remember stealing this CD from my sister, and listening to it from front to back. And when I did it, I didn't even know what half of the words he was singing about or talking about. But I'm gonna go Sublime, self-titled Sublime.
All right.
I can listen to that.
Solid.
I can listen to that from top to bottom at any given day, at any given time, and it was something that what drew me to it was just the cover. If you open it up, it was just the dad, and he was just passed out with the beer bottle by his crotch. I'm like, oh, what is this? I'm a young whippersnapper, and I plug it in. I'm like, I don't know, but I love the sound of
You
it.
love it.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna
for
Sublime.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm glad I get 2 picks here.
Yeah.
All right. So my first one is probably my favorite album of all time. Rest in peace, Tupac.
Okay.
All Eyes on Me.
Okay. Yeah.
Very influential in my high school upbringing. Sad day when I was a junior in high school when I learned that he passed. Yeah, Tupac, All Eyes on Me.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to keep it going with a little bit of the West Coast, East Coast battle that happened back in the 90s. Notorious B.I.G. Ready to Die.
Oh, okay.
Big.
So you're going on both sides of it.
I didn't
You're
I
flippy-floppy.
didn't discriminate at all. I listened to West Coast. If it was good music, and
Yeah.
those 2 were just such great lyricists.
For sure.
Back then, it wasn't somebody writing songs for you. These guys were coming up with their own raps, their own chops on their own. And you know what? The beef that they had was just for promotion
Yeah.
for the most part. I
Right.
mean, those 2
They got along.
Those 2 did an album together. And for people to say that they had that much hate for each other, it was all within their own camp. People making
Right.
that
It
hatred
was all
up.
political.
Absolutely. And, rest in peace to Biggie as well, because both of them, I think, were probably, Eminem, I was going to say, is the number one rapper of all time. But those two were the most influential, I think. So,
Yeah.
yep.
No, those are good picks.
All right, back to you.
This is another one that came out when I was growing up with it, not quite yet in high school or anything like that, but I always I loved their albums, but this one in particular was I just thought the name was super catchy, and then all the songs happen to be great on it, and it's Take Off Your Pants and Jacket by Blink-182. I really like that from top. I could listen from that from top to bottom too, and the name is like, if you look at the name Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, it's like what?
What
But if you
happened?
look at the cover, it's just an airplane taking off, a picture of a jacket,
Yeah.
and then a picture of pants.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's super creative.
Subliminal advertising.
Yeah. So I listen to it all the time, and I actually bought that CD myself. So that's something that was really
Didn't steal it from Tara, huh?
no.
Okay.
Actually, I stole the Sublime one from Trisha.
Oh, did you?
So Tara was out of the house pretty much before I was getting into music.
All
But yeah, that's high on my list.
All right, Julian, give us number 2 and 3.
So let me just say that number one, it's awesome to be punk, right? Punk is
Yep.
punk is more than a style of music.
Absolutely.
Punk is more than a genre. Punk is a lifestyle.
It wasn't a phase,
Tupac's
Mom.
still alive, and so I'm gonna ride that high with my favorite, what I would consider my favorite punk album, which is Green Day's Dookie.
Yes.
That was
Dang
very,
it, dude.
very influential.
That's a really, really good album
album
too.
for
That's
me.
another one I jacked for my siblings too, dude. That's that's a really good pick. That's a really good pick.
That's awesome.
I wish I'd have lived with older siblings to steal albums from.
Yep.
I know.
Yep.
I know. You were the
but
one
I did
investing
not.
in everything and then letting everybody steal from you.
There you go. I hope my kids don't get my taste in music. I hope they get their moms. I'll turn it back around and roll it. They're not they're not considered a punk band, but as I said, punk is a lifestyle, punk is a mindset. I don't think there's any band that embodies that more than Rage Against the Machine, and
Oh, yeah.
Evil Empire will be
Oh,
my
yeah.
number 3.
That's a very good
from
pick
them.
too.
That is a good one. Did that take one off of your list?
The Dookie one was on my
Yeah,
list.
I figured it was.
I'm gonna go, and this is not punk. This is kind of more emo, kind of like, a little poppy. But this was a pretty important album when I was in high school, and it was the All American Rejects, self-titled All American Rejects.
Yeah, that's a good
That's a very good album from top to bottom.
Very
You got,
good.
Yep.
I'm my music. I'm
Mhm.
like you, Josh. I'll listen to everything,
Yep.
and I bet you're like that too. No matter what it is, if it sounds good, I don't care what genre it is. It's gonna be great, and
it's
you're
a
gonna
good-
listen to it.
Good vibe.
And that album, top to bottom, I could listen to all day, every day too. So
Yep.
that's my third pick.
All right. Gonna get off the rap train here.
Okay. I was wondering if you were ever gonna get off that train or not.
I don't want to, but like, I can't go all 5 straight rap.
Yeah.
Like I should.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean,
but like all my
Eminem is out there.
Yeah,
Right,
no,
right.
I'm not even gonna take any of his albums. I'm actually gonna go. My aunt and uncle were real big hippies.
okay.
Still are.
Yeah.
And they listened to Bob Marley all the time.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
never understood his music as a kid.
Yes.
And as I got older and I started listening to his words, he was just about peace, love, and happiness.
That's right.
And so his Exodus album would be one of my top. Like I listen to that on a rainy day if it's shitty out to make myself feel happy. If stuff's going bad in my life or at work, that's always one of those albums that you can throw on and you can just be happy listening to it.
Yeah.
It just makes you feel better.
Don't worry, be happy.
Yeah, it's a great album.
It does, man.
Yeah, and it sucks like all the artists that I love are dead.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah. Well, they were all too. They were all too
Julian's over there
powerful.
cracking
They were all too powerful, dude.
Yeah,
Honestly, like
yeah.
they wanted.
It's-
If
That's the sign of a great artist.
yeah,
It is.
exactly.
It
When the
is.
government
So
wants
the
to shut you
liberal
up
don't
because
Oh,
you're
God.
making too big of a move.
Let's not get into conspiracy
All
theory
right,
stuff.
all right, all
We'll
right.
save that for another episode.
We don't have to, but all right.
And then I'm gonna follow that one up with Nirvana.
Yeah. Yep.
Again, Cobain. You know,
Hey,
Yep.
that's
You really are going for the dead list, my brother.
I know, but it's not like it's not like I'm intending to. It's just
Yeah.
like these are my favorite albums.
They're all very good. There's no doubt
Um,
about that.
So yeah, so back to
that's
you.
fine.
I'm gonna go. I'll get on the rap train for you for a minute.
Ooh.
And this album is great top to bottom too, and it was another one that was popped off when I was in high school, and it is "Get Rich or Die Trying" by 50 Cent.
That was on my list.
That is, I knew we would have an
Okay.
overlap a little bit,
Yep.
but I was just listening. I was talking to my wife about, hey, top 5 albums that have had an impact on your life. What do you think? And I was going off, and I was like, yo, you know what? Get Rich or Die Trying, top to bottom, is just fucking great.
is.
And we listened to it all the time in our cars back when subwoofers were cool
dude,
and
you
stuff like that, you know?
Banging the 15s.
So,
shake
yeah,
shake
the
it-
trunk's
shaking the
rattling.
trunk with- yeah, hell yeah.
So, yeah, that's my 4.
All right.
Get Rich
all
or
right.
Die Trying, 50
There you
Cent.
go. There you go. All right. Number 4 and number 5, Julian.
See, this is where it gets hard.
It
I feel
does.
like,
There's
because
so many.
when you're trying to shove some out and you're trying to put other ones in and everyone's
Yeah.
jockeying for position in those last 2 slots, this is where it's tough. I am going to, this is a pretty solid 4 for me. We used to, me and my best friends from high school would crank open, we'd roll down the windows, crank the volume to the max, and roll around, me and 4 other 6-foot plus 300-pound dudes rolling around Davenport, Iowa in my friend's Ford Festiva.
Oh.
If you can picture that.
You
Pull one
guys
of
can
those
all
up
just
on
lift
Google.
the damn thing up
Yeah,
off the ground.
it's fucking literally riding.
I mean, we literally could have walked the car around town. Instead, we were bottoming it out on 53rd Street, with the windows down, when it came out. But shout out the Armenian genocide, Toxicity by System of a Down.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
All right. all
Hell
right.
yeah. That's
That was-
awesome.
That one, my band covered a bunch of songs off of there. I mean, I could probably sing that whole album top to bottom. That's very high on my list. And then the last one, I wanted to go a little bit outside because I didn't want to do another Metallica. I didn't want to do another System. I didn't want to do another Rage. So I was thinking, because you did give me a little bit of time to think, and I thought, okay, like front to back, right? Conceptually, how do you, when you listen to an album, every band has like good songs on some albums, some bands have great songs. You don't want to do one of the, like, oh, the best of Led Zeppelin. Like Led Zeppelin 4 is great,
Yeah.
but there's songs off of other ones that are great. When I think of an album that I can sit down and listen to front to back, and maybe I don't have like a top 10 favorite song, but every song, I'm not going to skip one for me.
Right.
Is Queens of the Stone Age, their first album, their self-titled first album.
Oh, nice.
I know if
Um,
Olsen was
that
here.
one for
Yeah,
some
he'd
reason
love
it's
that.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a good
that
one.
one is really, it's one where it's like I don't think there's a single song in there that if you were like, name your top 10 songs, like none of the songs would be in there.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to skip a single song on that album.
Yeah.
I like it front to back. I think it's real solid.
Damn, I think that
All right.
explanation of into detail of not skipping a song and doing the whole album, I think that's gonna change my last pick for me. Because I was gonna go Kid Cudi, The Man on the Moon, because that was a very pivotal album for me in college when I was going through. Well, just my college days,
Yeah.
all the partying, all the stuff
Sure.
that goes along with partying. But as far as listening top to bottom in the whole album, telling a story from first song to the last song, I'm gonna go Forest Hill Drive by J. Cole. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that,
Not a
but
clue.
I
I am not. It's not country, is it? Because that's the
no,
one
he's
genre I
rap.
don't
He's
mess
rap.
with.
I'm surprised you don't know him because he's like
J. Cole.
or not J. Cole, but why am I yeah, J.
I was
Cole.
gonna say, I know
It is
J.
J.
Cole.
Cole.
Yeah, never. I mean,
Yeah.
here's the thing. You know me. I'm a creature of habit. I stick to what I know, stick to what I like. I don't venture out too much onto the new rappers and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
it's J. Cole. I knew it
Okay.
was.
Okay. I'll go listen to it
you're
after
gonna
we get
you're
done.
gonna want J. Cole then. You're
All
gonna
right.
want to listen to J. Cole.
Yeah.
J.
All right.
Cole's
Yeah, he's
J.
very
Cole
good.
and Kendrick are like
Y-
right here.
Yeah,
Y-
they're
oh,
like
okay.
he's like a lot of people call him like very, very good.
So I'll give you this Super Bowl show. I watched till halftime just to watch the show, and then I shut it off because I'm like, we're done. I had no idea who the hell Kendrick Lamar was.
Oh yeah,
This game's over.
Didn't listen to shit, and
this game's over. Listen to him.
I wouldn't. I told the group, I was like, guys, I'm gonna go play Call of Duty. I'm gonna try to take my anger out on a bunch of teenage kids. All right.
But Kendrick Lamar, Damn, his album Damn is a very good album if you want to start from top to bottom because he tells stories through his albums too.
I'll have to listen.
Yeah, you
I'll
should.
have to listen.
You really should.
I mean, he's pretty creative.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl halftime show, you could tell he was telling a story there and going through, trying to. Well, we won't get political on it, but he was trying to get his point of view out. So,
This is a sports podcast.
Yeah, I'll appreciate it. Well, here's what's crazy. We talk about anything and everything.
Yeah,
We've
we
talked
do.
about conspiracy theories. We try not to get political.
Right.
We try to keep it, just basically, hey, we're guys in the garage drinking beer, talking about shooting the shit.
Basically.
All right, my last pick is going to be an alive artist. Right?
Wow.
Yeah. I was going to go dead again, but I'm going to go alive. Dr. Dre, The Chronic.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that one.
Oh man, that's good.
that is a good one.
Dr. Dre, The Chronic. I mean, that was my go-to back in the day. Throwing in those Rockford Fosgate 15s, putting on the amp, and just I had an '84 Monte Carlo SS. Roll the windows down and just try to shake that spoiler off the back end of that trunk lid.
Yeah, for sure.
And Dr. Dre could bring that bass, so I loved it. All right, we'll let you. You made a decision on your top 5. We'll let you have an honorable mention, Julian.
Yeah, you got a couple honorable mentions.
What would be your honorable mention that you didn't put in there? And it could go to Metallica if you wanted to.
Yeah.
No, I will throw Led Zeppelin's 4 in there.
Okay.
Led Zeppelin 4 as my honorable mention. Led Zeppelin has a lot of songs that are very influential and pivotal for me.
Yep.
I think 4 is their best album, but they do have like a compilation album of like the best of Led Zeppelin that I don't consider like an official Led Zeppelin album. But that is one where I would easily put it into the top 5. But again, I didn't want to go with like, somebody else is compiling the best songs from Led Zeppelin. Like, no, it's something they, I want something they put out of their original music. And I think Led Zeppelin 4 is up there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I would go with, this is going to throw you for a loop. I listen to everything except country.
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra, Come Fly With Me. I love Frank. Love Frank.
Yeah.
I love that
Beautiful voice.
old school Rat Pack.
Very solid.
So yeah, Frank Sinatra. He's the best of his albums are on my hit playlist.
Yeah. Oh,
Very nice.
I kind of scared to admit this one. It's not really an honorable mention for me because it wasn't on my list or wasn't going to be on it. But I did buy Britney Spears' first album. I mean, dude, that was bangers. She had bangers on that fucker.
I think Olsen would agree with you, and he probably would have picked the Cher album.
Yeah, he probably
We
would
always
have.
get those Cher snaps. I
But
don't know what his deal is.
I think my honorable mention will go from Underneath the Cork Tree by Fall Out Boy.
All right,
Fall Out Boy is one of my favorite bands, and that album was super important to me when I was in high school.
There you go.
Or even Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill. I feel like that's a great album if you
Oh,
want to get it.
that's real fucking good.
Yeah. So I mean, you can start that one top to bottom too. So yeah, that would be my honorable mentions.
All right. Well, I think it was a great draft. We really didn't have anything overlap.
No,
except
not
for
really.
The 50 Cent Get Rich or Die Trying.
And the Green Day.
Yeah. I think you and Julian had a little bit more synergy with each other on the album titles. But I also think, Julian, if you haven't figured it out, Mike's about 10 years younger than me, and that was his era of music, where it wasn't so much as mine. But we appreciate you coming on, spending the time this Saturday night. Well, I think you guys are going to see this on Monday. But taking the time and coming on here with us, we appreciate it. We're going to give our last shameless plug before we get out of here. Smoke and Gun Beef Jerky out of Nebraska. They have done an affiliate sponsorship with us. The Hot Box is on the table.
Yeah.
We have it in hand. We've been talking about it. And the Hot Box is basically their 3 hottest jerkies that they make. They have 50 flavors, over 50 flavors. And we're going to try it on an episode coming up here soon. I'm really excited because I know Ryan hates hot shit. And after that wicked applewood that he tried.
Yeah.
He was crying, Julian. Like, it wasn't like there was no spice to it. And he's over here, he's like, oh, damn, that's hot. Give me a drink.
Oh no.
So now,
no.
yeah, so
Yeah.
now we've got 3. What are the 3 in there?
So here's just to bring up the names. We got, this is under the hot category. It's called the Grim Reaper.
All right. Someone's dying.
Oh
Yep.
no.
Hotter, the one that's listed hotter, the title of it is Can't Fix Stupid.
Yep, I about ordered that one.
And then the hottest, the title's perfect. Complete Idiot.
Oh my god.
So like,
All right.
it's gonna be great. I love hot stuff, but
Yeah. So we're going to do that on an upcoming episode.
Yep.
Stay tuned for that. Hopefully it's next week that we get everybody together and we can do it all. I hope Ryan brings milk and water and whatever the hell
I'm
he
sure
needs
he
to
will.
get through it because he's going to be in pain. So we'll get out of here soon. But again, Julian Vandervelde, thank you so much for coming on here, taking the time for us. I know you're a dad, a family man, and you got a bunch of stuff going on. If you had to leave us with some imparting words to the future youth athletes, I know you did earlier, but give us your last line of wisdom before we get out of here.
Sure. Don't let anyone tell you can't do something. If you are passionate about something and you're willing to put the work into it, there is someone out there who is looking to connect with you. It may not everyone's a D1 person. Not everyone's a future all pro. But if you love something and you want to do it at a higher level than you're doing it right now, do it. Don't wait for somebody else to come along and give you permission. Don't go to the weight room only when there's other people in the weight room who are going to push you. Don't go out onto the practice field only if 10 of your teammates are going to come out with you. Be intrinsically motivated. Find ways to creatively improve yourself. Focus on you and let the results speak for themselves. But don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it, and don't wait for anyone else to make it happen. You make it happen.
that's beautiful.
Yeah,
That
great
is
advice.
beautiful.
Great advice. So again, we appreciate you coming on the show. We'll get all your info, especially from the flyer for your guys' upcoming show on the Titanic.
Yeah.
We'll make sure we drop that in the description here for anybody that's interested in the Quad Cities area to come down and see the Titanic. Julian's going to be in the vocals somewhere within the show. Wife is running it. So again, we appreciate you coming on, taking the time out for us. And I can't do Ryan's energy to kick us out of here. So we're just going to go just normal.
Yeah.
We appreciate you guys showing up for the Mainstream podcast. Follow us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, X now,
Yep. Like, share, subscribe.
TikTok, like, share, subscribe, and support us on Spotify, Apple, and on YouTube. We would really appreciate it. And if you guys have any suggestions for upcoming episodes, upcoming guests, or anything that you want to talk about, we're all for it. We do some live episodes. Most are recorded, but we'll definitely get those in the mix. And we'll see you next time, okay?
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's where you want to be. We'll discuss the latest trends and the news of the day, and we'll tackle the tough topics in our own special way. So if you're looking for a place to escape and unwind, welcome to the Mainstream, we're one of a kind.